I just was thinking that, it's contest prep is a very hard, daunting thing for a lot of people to attack. And it's really difficult for people to understand what it's going to feel like and feel like to go through an entire contest. So I thought this was a good way to lay it out. I don't want us to look at our bodies as just bodies and trying to look good, and by looking good is going to make us feel good. I'm going to get into a lot of philosophy as far as mind, body, spirit, all of those types of things, because I think it's very important that we cover those topics. Okay? There we go. So we're going to be discussing three things that are critical. And there are three universal laws. We've all known this. Sir Isaac Newton, I believe, came up with these. And it's the law of inertia, the law of overcoming, and the law of reaction. So law of inertia, pretty simple. An object in motion is going to stay in motion unless acted on by an outside force. The law of overcoming, the greater the mass, the greater the force needed to overcome and move it. And the law of reaction, for every action, there is a reaction. So this applies to all things within the universe. So just physical things that we can touch and move and do that, those are definitely a part of the universe, and that makes a lot of sense. But also your thoughts can have momentum. Those are part of the universe. Your spirit, thing that moves you, and your emotions also have a lot of, they have to follow those rules. So I made a new t-shirt this year, and I was really starting to think about, what are the principles that I follow and Team Dossey should be following? And this is a universal sign for mindfulness. It's very important that we're mindful of what we're doing at all times. This is the universal sign for body. Obviously, we're mind, body, and then this is also spirit. But what makes us feel, or what kind of defines us, and what is just happiness. Our emotion, right? If we feel happy and content at all times, does it really matter where any of these other things are? No, not really. We just want to feel happy. But of course, all three of these things can lead us to having better control over our emotions and control over our happiness. So that's really our foundation, right? We want to coach you to be healthy and not just look healthy. So I believe looking healthy starts with having a purpose. So you need to be able to find what is your purpose in life. Not just with bodybuilding, not just with, I want to have a six-pack or get on stage and look like this or that or get second place or first place, top 5. It is about having a purpose in life. And then where does bodybuilding fit into that? And then the second step is bringing about awareness. You need to be able to aware. You need to use your mind. You need to know where you're moving, how you're moving at all times. I'm stepping on this. And then you need to be able to get the essentials, the essential nutrients, water, vitamins, minerals, all of those types of things. And this is just to get us to ground level. If we can focus on these three things, that's going to make us a healthy person. Okay? And that's good. That's a fantastic thing, because many of us and many people do struggle just to be healthy. So this is a major task, and this is the base of your bodybuilding career. From there, we need to discuss food, mood, metabolic efficiency, what macronutrients are, what intention-based training is, and how you can overall achieve love for yourself and love for what you're doing and achieve that pinnacle. So getting a little bit more deep into this. So purpose, just know your purpose for existing. Discover where that power comes from. The other one is awareness. So just be aware of what is real and what is not. We'll get into that a little bit further. It's kind of a interesting topic. Essentials provide your body with the essential nutrients to function healthy. Food, mood, metabolic efficiency. So what this is going to do is going to discover your positive and negative types of foods. So when you eat food, you feel good or you feel bad from eating it. And so the metabolic efficiency in the Food Mood Journal is a way for you and for me to determine what foods work best for you yourself. Macronutrient, Zach's going to cover this in a little bit more in depth, but it's just a way to precisely measure grams of protein, carbohydrates, fats, and track your calories based on what it is that you need. Level 6, intention-driven training. This is a somewhat new topic for me, but it's been changing my bodybuilding career and just my personal training. So we're going to get into that as well. And then number 7, I think this is, again, probably the most important one, is love. So there's an article written by Charles Poliquin called The Myth of Discipline. If you haven't read it, I suggest that you just Google The Myth of Discipline and read that article. And basically it states you are a result of what you love most. It kind of goes on to say that you either love six-pack abs more than donuts, or you don't. It's very simple. It's not using discipline. You don't say, well, I don't want the donuts. You say, I love my abs more than I love donuts, and then it doesn't become a forced, strict thing that you have to do. So in order to reach the pinnacle of your potential, you must first master the lower levels. So you need to become healthy first. You can't build this facade or illusion of health just because you look good. That's not going to last. You need to build it from the ground up, from health. And so just like any garden, you must feed the crops and nourish each level. So you don't just go, oh, I got that level conquered, and forget about it and move on to the next one. It still needs to be within your mind and your mindfulness. One of my favorite quotes of all time, and maybe you guys can relate to this, but you are what you eat. We all kind of understand that. But you also eat what you are. And that's what the Food Mood Journal can help indicate to you. So food obviously influences your mood. Your mood influences your cravings. Anybody stress eat in here? Yes, it happens a lot. Healthy food generally relates to you having a healthy mood. And healthy mood tends to make you crave more healthy types of foods. Right? So it makes contest prep easier if you can be in a positive mood more of the time, or most of the time. So track your food and your mood to discover how to fuel good days. A lot of times we have good days and bad days and we're not quite sure why. Food has a lot to do with that, and we can start to control our emotions through a food. We'll be able to have a much easier contest prep. I'm going to pass out, hopefully we have enough of these. Just grab one and hand it out. It is your own personal food mood log. I can email this to you guys. I can send, I can print a bunch of them out, make copies, whatever it is that you want. But this is basically what you're going to see. So food mood log is just going to have a little tab here. You're going to put the date, whatever day it is. That way when you look back at it, you know what day it was. Circle breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, pre-workout, post-workout. I don't think there's any other types of meals that there can be. And then you type in or put in the food that you consumed. So if you had a sandwich, don't just put sandwich, right? What is a sandwich? Sandwich is bread, turkey, lettuce, mayonnaise, whatever you put on it. So you put all those things, you put the servings size on there. I will also hand out, I need to print that off, I will also hand out and or email you the nutrient value chart. So all the foods that you have contain certain levels of essential nutrients, vitamins, minerals, essential amino acids, essential fatty acids, and water, right? So those are the 5 things that I consider to be essential. So the more of those that it has in there, the higher the food value. There's also foods that you can consume, such as sugar and alcohol, that will actually rob your body of nutrients. And so that would be a negative food. And so you just put the nutrient value of each one of those foods. Right? So then you can start to add it up and say, well, I feel great if I have a food nutrient score of 20, say whatever it is. And then we're going to talk about vibrational state. Science can measure our brain waves and basically our vibes in hertz. So there's like delta waves, theta waves, gamma, beta, alpha, all those types of things. And based on your brain wave, the vibrational state that you're in, it's going to kind of tell you what level of consciousness you're in. So if you are in delta brain waves, that means you're sleeping. Okay? If you're in a gamma brain wave, that means that you're a monk and you're meditating. But if we all probably fall somewhere in the middle when we're conscious. And food has a lot to do with what our vibrational state is, right? So I'm not going to make you tell me that you're alpha or theta or all those types of things. Now it's interesting to know what kind kind of brainwave it is, but basically we're going to label it with 3 different things. High, medium, low. You feel good, you can concentrate, you're focused. Medium, yeah, I feel kind of normal. I can't really say that I feel one way or the other. Low, I feel like crap, I can't focus. So you just put your vibrational state before, during, and after you're done eating. And that's going to start to draw a link between the types of foods you're consuming and how it affects your mood. Or also, if you were before, if you're in a low mood and you ate ice cream, well, maybe that's why you ate ice cream, okay? Then you just denote the time started, time finished, appetite level before. Were you hungry or not? Satisfaction afterward. Were you full or not? And so you just denote those things. And then you do this for 5 to 10 days. You look back at it, and you should start to develop a pretty good understanding of what foods your body does best with. So next is a metabolic efficiency questionnaire. So if you guys would just take one and pass it around, please. There are 8 signs of healthy metabolic function, okay? And so sleep quality, bowel movements, appetite, menstrual symptoms, obviously if you're a male this doesn't count for you, strength level, if it's going up, it's going down, your libido, your fingernail health, morning heart rate, and morning temperature. All of these things can give us signs about what is happening within your metabolic realm. So sleep quality, I've been tracking this ever since I started coaching people. And what I've noticed is I'll coach people and I'll take a look at their calories in, carbs, you know, the amount of cardio they do, calories burned, all those types of things. And there's some correlation between each one of those. But the one thing that's been a constant is sleep. If somebody's sleeping, they're losing body fat pretty consistently, even if there are other things are fluctuating a little bit. So quality of sleep, I believe, is one of the most important things that we can start to look at for our own health and our own progression. So there's also a thing with the Chinese model of medicine that can indicate, based on what times you frequently wake up at night, if there's any internal imbalance. Is this a scientifically based, completely accurate thing? No, I'm not. This isn't going to override your doctor, but it can let you take a look at what's going on with your diet. So if you wake up before 1 a.m. always, chances are you have a blood sugar regulation issue. If you're waking up between the hours of 1 a.m. and 3 a.m., it could be a sign of liver toxicity or too much stress on your liver. Or if you wake up between the hours of 3 and 5 a.m., it could indicate that you have too much oxidative stress. So we can attack those types of things right away and try to get them fixed so it doesn't slow down your progress in contest prep. This is always a fun thing to talk about, but this is super important, guys. Bowel movement. So bowel movement regularity is a sign of eating the right diet. So if you are going to the restroom every single day, if you're going to the restroom with an appropriate volume, and basically you feel relieved and there's not too much strain and stress and you don't use too much paper, then that means your diet is good for you, okay? If that is not happening, guess what? The foods that you're eating are not really working very well for you in your digestive system, okay? So there's ways we can focus on just healing the digestive system, but also we're going to attack it from changing foods, figuring out if there's some sort of irritation or anything like that going on, okay? And believe it or not, the healthiest people in the world go to the restroom after every single meal. Appetite. So there's appropriate appetite, as in you need calories, you need energy, so your body tells you to eat. There's inappropriate appetite, which basically states if you are, if you don't need calories, you don't need energy, and you're just eating for no reason, that would be inappropriate. So when you are hungry can indicate your circadian rhythm. So how well your body's cortisol levels are functioning. So if you're starting to get super hungry at night, anybody ever had that before? Okay, it happens to all of us. Particularly happens when we're under a high stress situation. That can indicate that your cortisol level and your cortisol curve may be an issue, okay? Or it could just be a major lack of essential nutrients, vitamin D, zinc, magnesium, those types of things tend to be common deficiency. Or you risk running out of essential body fat. This is critical for anybody getting into contest prep, right? So if your body perceives that you're running out of essential body fat, you're going to be hungry all the time. And bodybuilding is healthy to a certain point. Once you get below this, which you all are going to when you step on stage, you're going to be hungry all of the time, right? That's a normal occurrence, and that's just because you lack essential body fat, or you're starting to run the risk of lacking essential body fat. And we're going to discuss this a little bit further about how to come off of a contest prep diet and all those things. Or you could have an unbalanced macronutrient intake. Maybe you're taking in too many carbs for your body type, or too much protein, whatever it is. Or you're in a negative emotional state. You're trying to deal with your emotions through food as opposed to just dealing with your emotions through psychology. Menstrual symptoms, so this is for the ladies in the room. Menstrual cycles, believe it or not, should be asymptomatic. Now, I've never had one, so I don't know exactly how this feels. But it should be free from carbohydrate cravings, mood swings, depression, and water retention. Well, you have cramps. Yeah, you're going to have cramps. Sorry, I can't do anything about that. But depending on the severity of the symptoms, we may end up recommending you to go get some lab work done with your doctor and see if there's some sort of imbalance with your estrogens or progesterone. Strength level decrease. For those of you who have competed before, bench press goes down rapidly, especially as you start to get leaner. So your strength is going to decrease slightly, but it should not be super duper drastic, okay? So if it is very drastic and sudden, it could be a sign of some sort of metabolic distress, or it could also be a sign of overreaching. I don't think any of us are going to overtrain, but overreach, our body might just need to take a little bit of a rest. So this will alert us to looking into training volume, intensity, frequency, duration. It'll alert us to how well you're sleeping. So if your strength is going down, you might not be sleeping well. We'll look into hormonal balance and potential supplementation issues. Libido, this is always a fun one to talk about right there with bowel movement. A healthy sex drive is the final step to having a healthy metabolism. Okay? It's rare that you find someone with a healthy libido if they're not metabolically functioning optimally. Our bodies do not want to reproduce if they are not healthy. Okay? So all other metabolic functions must be functioning well. If we start to see the decrease in this, it could be due to just the lack of essential body fat. Okay, that's going to happen as you get closer to contest prep shape. But we're also going to look at nutrient intake, sleep quality, your stress levels, and your digestive system. Believe it or not, for women, this is huge with the digestion aspect. Fingernail health. Everybody take a look at their fingernails, right? So your fingernails are a big sign of how well your body is digesting food and how healthy your digestive system is, okay? So strong fingernails will not have vertical ridges. They'll be solid. They won't be real pliable. If they are that indicates that your digestive system is functioning properly. If you have those vertical ridges and they're bendy, or you have like dips and stuff like that, that could indicate that you have some pretty serious either stomach and digestive issues, or you're not taking in enough nutrients. Morning heart rate, resting heart rate should remain relatively stable. If your heart rate just decreases all of a sudden, that could be a sign of overreaching or under recovering, right? So that we'll also start to look into the nutritional aspect of this. Morning body temperature, this is very much regulated by your thyroid. Your thyroid regulates your metabolism. So if your body temperature starts to decrease from what it normally is, that could be a sign that you are having some thyroid issues. This is a normal thing to do as well. If you get into contest prep, you become super duper lean. Your body doesn't want to be that lean. It's going to start to slow down its metabolism. So there's a few things that we can do to help improve it and support your metabolism, but nothing we can do to fix it aside from putting on some body fat later. Then we're going to get into one of my favorite things, which is the biosignature. This is a 12-site skin fold method. And so I got Mr. Zach Sizemore's up here. Check out his abs, everybody. It's pretty impressive. I know.
It's an old picture anyway.
It's an old picture. He's more shredded than that now. Anyway, so what the biosignature does, it's pretty simple. It's going to show us your body fat percentage, your lean body mass, hormonal correlations with where body fat is, and I I put this little thing, correlations. This is not blood work, guys. I'm not a doctor. This is just something that we can use as a tool. It's more important to look at the body fat and lean mass, right? But we can also start to predict if something else is going on and kind of start the work to support those things. So what is biosignature? Biosignature, by definition, is forensic nutrition based on hormonal profile. There's a few things that I've learned based on where you store most of your body fat and how much your body can process and handle carbohydrates, right? That's always been a very strong correlation. The other ones we can focus on, but if you're losing body fat without doing protocols and all these types of things, there's no sense in changing all those things. All right, so I'm gonna let Mr. Zach Sizemore get up. He is a macronutrient king. He tracks them pretty much all the time.
We're going to talk a little bit about tracking. This kind of goes along with the Food Mood Journal that Austin spoke on earlier. However, in order for us to make accurate changes, as you progress through your contest prep, we need to know exactly how much you're taking in as far as carbs, as far as protein, as far as fats, and things of that nature. So precision cannot be achieved by estimation. Perfection can only be achieved through precision. When we step on stage, we're trying to have the perfect look, or for your body type, or for to win, or to just place well, or whatever goals you have when you compete. So these things are kind of perfection. Kind of can be lumped into three things: consistency, precision, and also documentation. I'm a big advocate of being consistent. If you're consistently weighing your food every single time the same way, or if you're consistently documenting everything, we're going to be able to make changes the best way that way. You're going to basically be able to bring your best shape for the contest day. So I would say if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So it's always key to plan efficiently. And I'll kind of go over that a little bit more. What we recommend is you track your carbs, proteins, fats, calories in an online journal. There's many different online journals or apps. You can use Excel sheets. I did that for the longest time before I realized how stupid I was being. Just use like MyFitnessPal or something like that. So I'll kind of go over a little bit later the different apps and kind of how to use them. But if you want to track your carbs, proteins, fats, and calories in an online database, this just allows for for you to be consistent. And then kind of go a little bit further, our bodies need to be fueled for performance, but also we need to realize another factor in achieving your goals is aiming to hit your macronutrients, your daily intake within plus or minus 5 grams of your carbs and protein, and plus or minus 2 grams of fat. The reason why it's kind of a little different, I'm not sure if everyone knows, but a carb is worth 4 kcals. Protein, 1 gram of protein is worth 4. Fat is worth 9. So thus we give more weight to the fat, so you'll be closer to your fat levels, because if you're 10 over on fat, that's 90 calories. But if you're 10 over on protein, that's only 36 calories. So you kind of want to make sure you stay within the plus or 5 minus of your carbs and protein, and plus or 2 minus of your fat for your daily goals, whatever those are. Meat needs to be weighed in either grams or ounces, and also weighted raw before cooking. So what I like to do is, I'm a busy guy. I go to work at 7 in the morning and don't get off till 6. So I like to cook in bulk. So like I'll cook. A key thing for me, what I realized to do is I'll weigh all the chicken before I cook it. So suppose I have 6 pounds of chicken and I'm putting it all in the oven at the same time. I'll put 6 pounds on in a bake, something I'm baking it in, and then put it on the scale, see how many ounces it is total. I cook it, I get it out, then I weigh it again. So suppose there was, that's why I need a marker, but so basically, if after you weigh it, suppose it weighed 1,000 grams, and before you weighed it was 6 ounces. So you just take 1,000 divided by 6, and so each ounce is worth this much post weight. So once you get that done, you can just basically have a big Tupperware full of chicken, and like get up in the morning and you say, you know, you had to do a 6 ounce of chicken for your first meal. You just take what the ration, the fraction was, times it by 6, and that's how much you have to weigh out your chicken. Or, easier way you can do it, that's pretty easy once you kind of realize it, and I wish I had a marker so I could show you, but another easier way is if you know you are eating 7 ounces of beef every single morning, weigh out 7 ounces before you cook it, and then just portion it all separately. So you can do either way. But key is to weigh it in grams or ounces. Nuts are to be weighed in grams, of course, because if you look at the back of the nutritional value, it's going to say 14 grams equals this amount of fat, this amount of carbs, this amount of protein. Fruits and vegetables will be weighed in grams or ounces. That's pretty simple. And grains are to be measured in cups or weighed in grams or ounces. Now, a key thing I like to say is make sure you weigh your grains prior to cooking because it's going to expand with water. So you're going to be able to basically overshooting what the actual nutritional value is. But the key is being consistent. If you've always weighed your meat after cooking and you've tracked for years this way, you don't have to switch, as long as you're consistent. You know, you want to make sure, like, 1 week you don't want to weigh before, 1 week you weigh after, because it's going to change the value of itself. So the 3 main tracking apps I recommend are MyFitnessPal, MyMacros Plus, or Spark People. I use MyFitnessPal. I'm not sure what everybody else uses, but it's pretty user-friendly. Does anybody want me to show you kind of an example of how you use MyFitnessPal? If not, I would download it and just play around with it. Basically, what you can do is you can. So this is like for December 31st. This is what I have for my meal one. I had some fish oil, some greens, some more greens, and 10 ounces of beef. That's what I have for breakfast. So basically, the day before, I like to plan out my days in advance. So like the night before, I'm sitting there looking at what food I have or what I had cooked, and I start piecing it together. So you can basically, once you put this in the first time, you can kind of look for my recent foods, and it's going to be there. So you can just select it and select how much you're actually eating. And then suppose you eat this meal like for 2 straight days or 3 straight days, you can copy it for the next day. So you don't have to keep reprogramming. So this is one of the reasons why I like this app. And then another reason, if you use your phone, a lot of them have barcode scanners. So if you buy something from the store and you don't want to search it or make custom foods, you can just barcode it and it's most likely going to come up. However, when I'm saying this, make sure you actually look at the reasonableness of the food you're picking, because sometimes you'll have, suppose you picked this Trader Joe's organic coconut oil, and for some reason somebody put that in as a custom food, so when you search it, it's going to come up with whatever they put in there. Suppose they put 2 grams of fat for 1 tablespoon. That's not reasonable. A tablespoon of coconut oil is not 2 grams. So make sure you kind of look at it. So if you're picking steak, you're going to know it's going to be kind of higher in fat, but all of a sudden you see that it's marked.
Is there a way to turn that off on MyFitnessPal? Where it just searches like not people's like.
You make your own custom foods. That's the only way around that, to get away from using anything else. And I do that a lot. Like when I pick something that I don't eat consistently, make sure I look at the package or whatever it's on and make sure it's actually on the package. Or if it's not the actual what is in the database already, I just create it. So next time you search for that, or there's a section that says my custom foods or recent foods, it's going to be in that section. So you can't turn it off, which kind of sucks, but you can get around it. So that's my favorite app. It allows for definitely consistent documentation. Is that awesome?
I was just saying that your next slide is going to tell people where to search.
So sometimes you're going to find foods that don't have nutritional value, like labels. Mainly meat. A lot of meats don't have the actual nutritional value on the package. So there's 3 websites that we recommend going to, all right here. And we'll send you. You're gonna send out the PowerPoint to everybody, or at least these sites. We'll send that out. But those 3 will allow for you to search things. Suppose you're at Trader Joe's or wherever, and you bought some Atlantic salmon, but you bought it from the counter and you have no idea what the nutritional value is. You can go to those 3 websites and type in Atlantic salmon, and you're going to find out what the common nutritional value is. What I like to do is, because I'm pretty anal when it comes to contest prep, is I'll check all 3 sites. I'll check different ones to make sure to kind of get the most consistent one, so I'm not overshooting. But the key is whatever you pick to use that first time, keep using it going forward. You want to be consistent. Consistency is the key. This is another documentation thing that we have. This basically will allow you to input your carbs, proteins, fats. I track fiber, but not everybody does. You track your fiber, your body fat, your body weight, the dates, your sleep, how much cardio you did, your lifting schedule, and then if you had any comments that you wanted to note for yourself. Like I started a new greens product the 19th, and I wanted to see how my body responded to it, so I made sure that I marked it in there, so if I look back and see a spike all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, well, maybe it could be because of that, because that's the only thing I changed. Another thing I can kind of backtrack a little bit on MyFitnessPal, and a lot of nutrition packages as well, you're going to see the calories not add up to exactly what if you took the grams of protein times 4, the fat times 9, and the carbs by 4, sometimes you don't get the exact number of calories that's on the package. So that FDA allows for a variance. So what I say is don't really worry about, like see for the example of this day, on the 18th, I had the same amount of carbs, proteins, and fats, and almost fiber, but the amount of calories are different. It's because I had different foods. Don't really worry about the calories itself and what total it says. Worry more about what the macro goals you have set. So if you were set for 370 grams of carbs, make sure you get plus or minus 5 of that. Don't worry about the calories because it's going to be inconsistent. So it's more important to track your carbs, proteins, and fats than it is overall calories because those are just a source of this. That's about it, unless anybody had any questions on that stuff.
Why do you track your fiber?
Why do I track my fiber? Macronutrients are important. Everybody has I like to get I feel the best between 30 and 40 grams of fiber a day. If I get higher than that, sometimes I get backed up or don't. If I get lower than that, sometimes you don't go. So it's just one of those things where you want to make sure that you're tracking your micros as well, and fiber is a good destination. If you ate Pop-Tarts all day to hit your goal of carbs, you're not going to hit your fiber goal. So it's a way to make sure you eat your greens and the different micros you need.
How did you figure out your fiber number?
Austin, what do you say per body weight?
I just say females should be about 25 to 35, and males should be about 30 to no more than 60. And down to 30 or 40.
Yeah, I do the best on that. It's one of those things where, especially the closer you get to the show and your calories you're really in a deficit, you're going to realize that it's going to be hard to hit. If you're eating not micronutrient or macronutrient-dense foods, if you're eating crap, like cereal and crap, they would talk about me all your carb numbers, you're not going to be able to hit that fiber goal anymore. So this kind of, it forces you to make sure you eat those dense foods, those the good grains, things of that nature.
And that's a major component in your mood, in your food mood, and your bowel movement, and all those types of things. When you start to self-regulate and you start to journal, you'll start to learn what works best for you. None of us can sit there and say, oh, you need 27 grams of fiber every day before we know anything about you, get any feedback or anything like that. You guys are going to have to kind of become your own coaches as well, and that's really the main focus of this conference, is to be able to give you the information to help you guys be your best coaches. We're just here to give you some guidelines and make sure that you know what you're doing and whatnot. But it really comes down to personal responsibility and learning yourself.
Yep. Definitely, that's one of the main things. I mean, we're only a map. You guys are the drivers. So we give you the map, but you have to drive it. So I think that's it for me. Austin, you're up.
Sir, I'm going to be next year in class. Salt intake. We're going to talk about salt.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to talk about salt. We can cover all those things. If you guys have any questions as we're going through, maybe write them down, and at the end of it, we'll answer all of your questions to the best of our ability. So we've covered all of the base things. So if you notice with that triangle, we've started to work our way up the triangle. Okay. So when you start tracking macronutrients, if you just want to be healthy, should you track macronutrients? Probably not, because that becomes a little bit obsessive. Is it okay for some people sometimes to do it? Yeah, I think so. If you're a professional bodybuilder, should you track macronutrients? If that's your job to be a bodybuilder, yeah, I think you should. But no have-tos there, right? So we're moving up the ladder to more specific base things. So intention-based training. This is about controlling all parameters of your exercise. There's a ton of different things that you can do. I think it's very important to isolate a muscle in a compound movement. And I'm not sure if we have enough space for this or not. We may have to take turns in it, but we're going to have a couple of push-up tests and a couple of squats and deadlifts and whatnot to show you guys the difference between just normal lifting and intention-based lifting. It's pretty neat. It's eccentric and concentric contractions. That's lowering the weight, raising the weight. There's plenty of research to say that the eccentric contraction is what grows muscle. Concentric contraction, not so much. So we want to be able to control these things. Is that how we control it is going to regulate what our adaptation response is to it. Rest periods, another thing. That's another thing that I think we need to have some level of control over. We're going to use planned periodization based on individual needs. There's 3 different phases of periodization. Muscular adaptation, so you adapt by gaining muscle. There's metabolic adaptations, you adapt by becoming more metabolically efficient. And there's neurological adaptations where you adapt by becoming stronger, your nervous system gets better, all right? So ISO intention, this is where we're going to have our group thing. This is activating a specific muscle in a compound movement. So we all know what a bench press is, right? What muscles do bench press work? Anyone? So chest, shoulders, typically the anterior portion of your shoulders, and your triceps, right? Sometimes after a bench press, do you go, man, my chest not really that sore, my shoulders and triceps are on fire. Anybody ever do that? I've been there for sure. Well, what if you were able to just activate your chest, or a majority of the exercise activate your chest? Would you like to be able to do that? Or if you're trying to work on your triceps, would you like to be able to do that? Or your anterior shoulders? Yes, you can do that. So what I want us to do, I don't think we can get everybody to do this. Who has never done intention-based training before? ISO intention. Okay, you raise your hand first. You have to demonstrate for us. So come on up here, please. It's scary, right? So there's 2 different things that you can do with the push-ups. All right. So when you are pushing or doing a bench press, if you try to have inward intention, it's not going to move, but if you intend to shove the ground together or the bar together, that's going to activate basically everything on the inside, so your chest and your biceps a little bit, which means that your shoulder and triceps are going to be deactivated, all right? So we're going to just ask you to try to shove your hands inward as you do a push-up and describe what you feel.
A lot more chest.
Yeah. So it's very simple. And if you have space and you want to do it right now, go ahead. It's something very interesting that you can learn. It's just we don't have a whole lot of space here. As soon as you leave, you can do some push-ups like out in the hall or something like that. Now what she can do, like a lot of us think, like if I go wide on a bench press, it's more chest. If I go narrow on a bench press, it's more triceps. Well, yeah, but I can go wide on a bench press and activate more triceps, and I can go narrow on a bench press and still activate my chest. It comes down to the intention. All right, so this time when you do a push-up, try to shove your hands apart. So you're going to get them normally set and then try to shove them apart and tell me what you feel
there. Like I'm going to fall.
Maybe get your hands a little more narrow. There you go.
I feel more back.
Yeah, so it's neat that she can actually, with the push-up, and that's true, with the push-up you're actually going to feel your back doing the exercise as you're shoving out, which you think that's the complete antagonist doing the chest, right? Thank you. I'll let you go. Appreciate it. And so when we give you a workout program to follow, we're going to tell you what the ISO intention is. Shove hands inward. Shove hands outward. All right. There's some other things that are pretty easy. And I think we can all do this. Everybody can stand up and do this one. So everybody stand up, please. So we're going to get maximal quad activation. So what I want everybody to do is get their toes pointed straight forward, feet about shoulder width apart, however wide you normally squat. Okay, you don't have to do anything crazy here. Bend your knees just slightly, and now try to shove your feet out. What happens to your quads? Your quads should be like, there's a lot of tension in them, right? So as you're lowering during a squat, you should actually try to be shoving your feet out. Everybody try that. So you're just doing body weight. If you shove out hard, the harder you shove out, the more quad activation you're going to get. You don't have to load up 500 pounds on the bar. That's cool, but you don't have to, right? You can get just as much muscle activation from doing a little bit less weight. You become more efficient at weightlifting. Everybody go ahead and sit down for me, please. There's a couple of other intentions that you can do, like the Romanian deadlift. Whenever you clench your glutes, so like a Romanian deadlift is a hamstring and glute exercise, right? So whenever you completely contract your glutes, what happens to your femur? It turns outward, it externally rotates, right? So I don't want you to do a Romanian deadlift with your feet externally rotated, but what you can do is you get your feet set, and your intention is to twist your feet or externally rotate. And you'll be amazed as you go down how much glute and hamstring activation you get, as opposed to a lot of times people be like, well, I don't really feel my hamstrings, I feel my back. Well, we're trying to activate the proper muscles to work. Wide stance Romanian deadlifts are like to do wide stance good mornings where you put the bar on your back. So you can get your feet out nice and wide, angle the toes out just slightly, and instead of rotating out, you rotate in, and you're going to get that inner hamstring portion and a little bit more glute activation than you normally would just from doing it standard up and down type of movement. Okay. So I just want you guys to all understand what that's like and what that feels like. So tempo is critical. This is the loading parameter that basically makes you have muscular adaptation, neurological, or metabolic adaptation. Okay. So if I do a bench press for 10 reps, based on scientific evidence, if I do 10 reps of a bench press, that's muscle hypertrophy. I'm going to grow muscle that way. Well, what if I do it like this? Put it up. Okay. Versus what if I do it like this? Do you think I'm going to get a different adaptation from that? Yeah, absolutely. My time under tension is going to be completely different, right? So time under tension, I think, is a little bit more important than the actual number of repetitions that you do. Okay? Now, you do need to have a certain weight on the bar relative to your 1 repetition max, but it's important to choose those types of things. So tempo is going to be written, right? So there'll be eccentric. So when you think eccentric, think elongate. There'll be a stretch. Think peak length. Think stretch. There'll be a contraction. Think shorten. And contracted, think your peak short. So if I'm doing a biceps curl, I'm elongating my muscle. That's the eccentric portion of my movement. When I'm stretched, maybe I rest there for a second. Has anybody ever tried pause squats where they come down and they pause for 2 seconds to come up? You have to put half the weight on the bar, otherwise you fall, right? So pausing is going to change the adaptation response as well. And then concentric, think it's shortening, and contracted, think it's peak. So if I hold this for a second, you think it's going to give me a little bit different training response than if I just went right back down. Of course it is. My time under tension is changing. So control each direction or pause for the best results, right? Time under tension is a combination of length, all right? So think about this. Let me tell you something first. So if I'm doing a curl, it will be written 4-2-1-1, okay? So a lot of us think, okay, I start a curl, 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that correct? No, that's not correct because I am not elongating, right? So when I'm shortening my muscle, what number does that denote? The third one, right? So I would go 1, okay? What's the next number in the line? My peak contraction. I'm going to hold it for 1 second. Now when the muscle is elongating, and I say the word elongate because think long time. So the elongation, 99% of the time, should last longer than the shorten. Short is short, long is long, right? So then I'd have 4, 3, 2, 1. Then I would pause in the stretch position for 2 seconds before I bring it back up again, right? So it makes sense from a bench press standpoint, right? Because as soon as you lift it up, first move is the first number, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then it becomes easy. It's just a little complicated when you start thinking more of the pulling movements. So rest periods determine the amount of recovery. So to optimize muscular adaptations, rest period should be from 40 to 120 seconds. So 40 seconds to 120 seconds. So your muscles are going to grow based on that rest period most of the time. The time under tension of a hypertrophy or a muscular adaptation should be 40 to 70 seconds of continuous time under tension. Right? So when I'm moving, if you add up all of the these numbers, so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that should take 8 seconds per rep, right? So if I want to get the 40 seconds, how many reps do I need to do minimum? Okay, so it would be 5 reps. Traditionally, 5 reps at that tempo, or 5 reps would be considered strength or maximal strength, right? But if you slow it down, you get a different response from it. You get a hypertrophy response. To optimize your neurological adaptation to become stronger, your time under tension needs to be much less, and your rest periods actually need to increase. So you're going to be resting 2 to 5 minutes, and time under tension is going to be 30 seconds or less. So you could be moving faster or moving slow, but with a lot of weight and not that many repetitions, okay? To optimize metabolic adaptations, so think more endurance-based types of things, you're going to want to have rest periods that are very short, 10 to 40 seconds. And your time under tension should be longer than 1 minute continuously. Okay? So this is what a program looks like that I would send you. There'll be day 1, quads and chest, or whatever it is. Okay, it's all individualized to you. Day 2, day 3, or I can make it a 4-day, 5-day, however many day program. And so what that's going to have on it, I'll put A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, if there's 3 A's, that means they're done as a group. So it's a triple set. If there's 2 A's, it's a superset, right? Or it's just straight sets like this particular program is. You will see the name of the exercise written, pretty simple. How many sets, how many reps, how long the rest period is, and what the tempo is, okay? And then you'll see the intention. So I don't really have an intention for leg extension, but hack squat, let's say, your intention would be to shove your feet apart. So you know while you're doing the exercise, how slow you should lower it, how fast you should raise it, and you know, how many reps you're going to do and how long your rest period is. And all these things are very important. It's not just fun things for me to do. It's going to make a major difference in your training and the effectiveness of it, okay? So I might even put some specialized thing like NOS. All NOS is a basically a quadruple drop set. So at the end of this particular thing, you would drop the weight like 20% and then continue going. And then continue going, continue doing it. Some of you guys are nodding your head because you've done it and it was fun, or you hated it. But there'll be some special denotations in there as well. Okay, so that's how you read a program. Does anybody have any questions about how to read it? Actually, you know what? I forgot to say something. So set 1, set 2, set 3, set 4. What you do is basically put your weight. Okay, so if I did my leg extension with 100 pounds, put 100 pounds. And I moved up to 125, move up to 130. Let's say set 3, I did 130, but I could only get 6 reps. Put 6 reps, circle it or something like that, so you know that was probably too much weight. Right? And then go on from there. So these are all notes that you can take for yourself, so the next time you come do it, you become a little bit more efficient with your training. Now, a program is only as good as the time it takes to adapt to it. Now, I've seen plenty of, I guess I would say high school or college football players come in here and be like, I'm doing the same program I did when I was 18. I'm like, yeah, you look probably worse now than you did then. How's the program working for you? Right? So they're doing the same program. They adapted to it probably within 6 weeks. But they're like, well, it was so good that I want to continue to do it. It was a good program for the time it took to adapt to it, and then it's time to change. Right? So when you periodize a program, you need to start to think about what is the adaptation. Are you going to get a muscular adaptation, metabolic, or neurological adaptation? Okay. Now we're all bodybuilders, so we all kind of want to focus on the muscular adaptation, but you can't always do that. You have to be able to change through different things. So there's 9 different types of phases or things that bodybuilders can use. So there's a power phase where we're going to use the most amount of weight with the least amount of time under tension. Then max endurance was the opposite, the most amount of time under tension, probably the least amount of weight, and then all of these different things in the middle. Okay? So I split it up into 3. Strength up to power, that's neurological adaptation. Between functional hypertrophy, and I just made up a word, enduropertrophy, it's like endurance/hypertrophy. Those 3 things are, coin that, please. Those 3 things are going to be more of a muscular adaptation, and then the bottom 3 are going to be your metabolic adaptations. So this is what like a periodization model for a bodybuilder might look like, okay? And so this over here is relative volume. So reps times sets times time under tension, all those types of things. How much volume of work is getting accomplished, okay? So I would start somebody in a functional hypertrophy, have them do that until they adapt, maybe 3 workouts, maybe 6 workouts. And then it would be time for them to move into more of an optimal hypertrophy-based program. And then after they adapt, then we'll move up to there. So we're basically, the more time under tension you can get in the muscle building phase, the more your muscles are going to grow. So increasing volume is of central importance. So that's why we ramp it up like that. Okay, so that way your adaptation is to be able to add more volume. And it's important to have a shock phase, like P90X, total muscle confusion. They totally have that coined, but I'm going to use it. This is a shock phase right here. Okay, so once we've maxed out our ability to gain muscle for that particular time, we shock our body and increase the intensity or increase the weight and move into a strength. So when you're gaining strength, you're trying to gain maximal strength, maximal power. So instead of ramping up in volume, you actually ramp down in volume and up in weight and up in intensity. So you become more neurologically efficient. Okay? And then this will be the biggest shock. So you probably won't be able to jog a block without having to sit down and stop at this point. And then we're going to ask you to run a marathon. Right? So this is a big shock here, and then we're going to move into more of an endurance-based phase. And the goal of endurance is to increase it maximally, right? To increase your metabolic efficiency. And so it would ramp up to here, and then if this extended out, you would see it would start over again, right? So we're never doing the same thing for a very long extended period of time. It's always in this periodized type of program. So we've covered a lot of information. And if you have any questions, well, I'll let you ask them towards the end. But more important than anything else is understanding the chain of events, understanding those 3 universal laws of motion. Okay? And so in order to become something, you have to act a particular way, right? If I can't just conceptually go, I lifted 300 pounds today. I can't, that doesn't make me stronger, that doesn't make me gain muscle, right? I have to actually go out and do it. So action is a physical manifestation of a mental thought. So I have to think it first, and then I have to do it. So anything that you want to do, if you want to do a contest, you have to think it, you have to conceptualize it, right? But you also have to act, okay? Thoughts are energy provided to us by a mysterious, I think, spiritual force. Where do thoughts come from? Anybody have any idea? Nobody? I don't know where my thoughts come from. They're amazing. Spirit is neither existence or non-existence, right? So if spirit had a number, it would be 0. And 0 is unlimited potential. It's not nothing, it's not something, it's got unlimited potential. So our action comes from this type of thing. It funnels up, and it's very important that we're able to connect with all 3 of those things in order to become a physical manifestation of whatever it is that we feel. So work to harness the spiritual, mental, physical reactions to fulfill your purpose, right? So that's really what we started with. What is your purpose in life beyond this, right? So understand they are all subject to the 3 universal laws. So your thoughts are subject. If you think negatively, you tend to act negatively. It's just how it works. So be very present, be very mindful of those things, okay? And this can be kind of confusing. A lot of the stuff that we've covered, you might not get right now, or you might kind of get some of it and forget it later, right? It doesn't make you a bad person if you forget. I do all the time. So when in doubt, just do something, right? Move, do something, ask a question, but just start doing things, all right? That's more important. Now I've gone over a lot of things that I know to be true, a lot of things that I believe to be true, and a lot of things that I have direct knowledge that's true for me, but is my direct knowledge the same as your direct knowledge? Not necessarily, okay? So we're going to differentiate the difference between these things, right? So belief is just a theory. It's an understanding, something that can logically make sense. Doesn't necessarily mean it's true, but it makes sense, right? And we live on this all the time, right? Knowledge is something learned from a credible source and validated through scientific scrutiny. Okay, so these things are a little bit more solid, but if I have knowledge of something and I apply it to myself and it doesn't work, I have direct knowledge that this doesn't work for me. Does that mean it doesn't work for a lot of other people? No, it doesn't mean that, right? But we're trying to get everybody to the level of direct knowledge, right? Something that we can't give you, something that you have to experience, and you have to know that it's irrefutably true. Right? So no matter how smart we are when we give you instructions, we're working from this level and from our own level of direct knowledge, but that doesn't mean that it's you. So everything should be tried out, and you should be a scientist on yourself. That's why we have papers like the Food Mood Journal. That's why we do the macronutrient tracking, so that you can gain direct knowledge for yourself. So with belief, there's things that people will ask you to do based on what they believe to be true. Okay? Knowledge, there are things that people ask you to do based on what they know to be true, but only you can experience the direct knowledge. So we got some food principles, right? This is how you eat. So we got the macronutrients, we got the Food Mood Journal, we got the metabolic efficiency. There's a lot of things going on. And probably a lot of you are going, well, what the heck do I eat? Chicken and rice and broccoli, is that it? Okay, maybe, I don't know. But it's pretty simple. I live based on 90% or as much as I possibly can in my life, this principle, JERF, just eat real food, okay? Food rotation is important. Your circadian rhythm for meal timing, I believe, is also important. Does this work for everybody? No. Essential nutrients, and then supplement suggestions. Right? Supplements are only suggestions, not have-tos. So what is JERF? What is real food? Well, real food is stuff that, the whole paleo caveman thing, okay, that makes sense, right? So real food is organic meat and eggs, organic vegetables, organic smart fats. So basically smart fats are anything that naturally occurs, organic fruits, and organic gluten-free starches and or grains. And that's not quite paleo, but we're going to go with it. So those are the food groups that we should all be focused on eating. It's very difficult to eat those and have a negative reaction. So food rotation. Do you have to do this? No, you do not have to do this. Will it keep your digestive system functioning better? More than likely. Will you feel better? Yes. Is there less likely to develop a food intolerance or sensitivity? Yes, if you rotate through your foods. So kind of how my brain categorizes things is how I put this on here. Maybe your brain categorizes a little bit different. So every day I'll eat one of these white meats, okay? And then the next day or 2 days, maybe I'll eat chicken for 2 days, turkey for 2 days, pork for 2 days, or I'll rotate through whatever you want to do. Dark meats, fish. So just rotate through these different things so you start to categorize different foods. So when you're making up your macronutrients and you're putting your things into your food journal or your app, you use kind of these things. What do you like? I mean, maybe you don't like broccoli. You don't have to eat broccoli because it's on here. Just whatever it is that's a green vegetable. Try to eat one of these each day and then rotate through it. So you can't. One of the things that I hate hearing people say is, I'm tired of eating the same food every day. Well, you don't have to. You don't have to. You choose to put yourself in this. There's 3 different kinds of white meat, 3 different types of dark meat. There's different kinds of fish. There's like unlimited amounts of fish. So you can rotate through your food so that way you don't have to get bored. And you're exposing your body to different types of nutrients as well. There's subtle nutrient differences in these things, so it's less likely that you're going to become deficient in any particular nutrient. Gluten-free starches. I love quinoa, by the way, if you can't tell. There's white quinoa, red quinoa, and black quinoa. I like to rotate through those foods. But you can rotate through those types of things. And I'm not a huge fan of fruit. You guys might know that. But I do love berries and strawberries and blackberries. And if you're going to do fruit, if you are a big fan of fruit and it works well for you, then rotate. Don't just have a banana every single day. Try to rotate through a different type of fruit. So meal timing. Right? I believe, and I have direct knowledge for myself, that this works fantastically. So in the morning, you are burning almost exclusively fat as fuel, okay? Because your growth hormone levels are up. You've been fasting throughout the night. Your blood sugar levels should be at their lowest and very stable. So your brain and body is running on fat. As soon as I introduce insulin, fat burning stops, growth hormone dies, okay? Think about that. But also, it's going to spike serotonin, which serotonin is a calming neurotransmitter as opposed to a motivating neurotransmitter. So the meat and nuts breakfast, coined by Charles Poliquin, look that up, okay? That's just meat and nuts. You don't have much of an insulin release from meat and nuts. Then you're going to have a lemon and lime water or dynamic greens. Those are just alkalizing things. They make your liver cleanse, and they alkaline your body, because when you eat meat and nuts, it's pretty acidic. You want to be able to combat that, okay? So males and females respond a little bit differently to meal timing. So everybody's probably heard, well, if you want to keep your metabolism up, you need to eat every 2 hours, man. Anybody heard that before? Okay? That is somewhat true for a female, completely untrue for most males. Again, I'm going to keep going back to this. That's my knowledge and direct knowledge for myself. Maybe it's a little bit different for you. So leptin sensitivity tends to be more important for males. So males should actually be able to go 4 to 6 hours without eating. Intermittent fasting is one of those kind of catchphrases of 2013. See some people rolling their eyes. Yes, I know. Males respond pretty well to intermittent fasting in research. Females die in research. So if you're a female, don't even try it. If you're a male, there's really no benefit in bodybuilder doing, but if you want to, go ahead. And then get your essential amino acids between meals, okay? Because we do want to keep that protein synthesis up. So 4 to 6 hours, you're going to stop protein synthesis, and you're going to increase kind of protein breakdown. So doing every 2 to 3 hours an amino acid thing for a male is going to really help. To stabilize blood sugar, this tends to work better for females. They want to eat every 2 to 3 hours. You guys are going to want to eat every 2 to 3 hours just to keep the blood sugar levels a little bit more stable. So that kind of saying is a little bit more true for females than it is for males. Post-workout, you should have a major refeed if your macronutrients allow for it. So you should put most of your carbohydrates at the end of your workout. So when you're done working out, pig out, okay, so to speak. And then in the evening, you actually want to have a little bit more of an acidic environment. That helps you sleep better for whatever reason, and it helps you dream better. And growth hormone tends to release with more acidic-based things. So that's why I do a German body comp program, and that's basically a high-endurance type of program dedicated to making you have a lot of lactic acid, so growth hormone levels will have a second spike throughout the day, okay? So just have a meat and a starch. Why a starch? Has anybody ever heard don't eat starches at night because you'll get fat? Okay, but anybody ever tried to, anybody ever have a huge carb meal and fall right asleep? Okay, that happens a lot. Okay, because carbohydrates release serotonin. Do you want to have, 16 rolls of sushi before you go to bed? No, but you want to have something that can help you sleep a little bit. Okay, and I think it's important to rest your digestive system. Yes, my dear?
What if your workout is in the morning?
Then you're going to get to have starches at night and in the morning.
So we abandon the carbless breakfast?
Yes, so that's actually a very good question. If your workout is in the morning and your blood sugar is stable, I suggest going in there with maybe a cup of coffee and coconut oil, maybe, if you work well with that. If you're just you do half your workout, you fall over and die because your blood sugar's gone down, figure something out. So some people like to do shakes, some people like to do food. If you're somebody whose stomach has too much food and you can't work out, then you just kind of got to feel it out. But I think if you have a large dinner, that should carry you over for the morning.
But after, say I worked out at 6:30 in the morning.
Afterwards, have your carbs.
Or carb?
Yeah,
Okay.
have your carbs after your workout if it's in the morning. and then the next meal would be kind of the meat and nuts type of thing. Very good question. Were you gonna say something?
What's your thought? So kind of go back to the morning training. So say you wake up and you have your cup of coffee and your coconut oil, so you're somewhat in a fasted stage. What's your thought on using a branch chain before or during your workout, and then also an intracarb?
Glad you asked. It'll be on there. So we will cover that in a second. So essential supplementation nutrients. I believe that these things are literally essential. Everybody should take it, no matter what. Okay. So everybody should have a multivitamin. What is the? And I'm going to tell you what I believe is the best of all of these things. Okay. I believe the AM/PM Performance multivitamin that we carry here at Lifetime, by far and away the best multivitamin I've ever had. Reason why I say that is because I notice if I do take it or don't take it, I can focus and my mental clarity is better when I take it, and I sleep better when I take the PM formula. And if I forget to take it, I remember one day I was like, I'm craving a multivitamin, which is weird. I didn't know you could do that. But my brain function goes down. So this is what I believe is the best multivitamin out there. Essential mineral additions. So even with a multivitamin, I believe most people are going to be, especially if you're active, have not enough zinc, inadequate levels of zinc. There's an uber zinc is what it's called. It's kind of a couple different kinds of zinc, very absorbable. Magnesium is another one, particularly if you want to sleep. This is like my favorite. Maybe I'm addicted to it. I don't know if you can be addicted to a mineral or not, but I am. ZenMag is fantastic. It's called magnesium threonate, and it is the only magnesium that crosses the blood-brain barrier. Magnesium is a sympathetic nervous system suppressant, so it makes you calm and relax. And it's called ZenMag for a reason. You take it, you're just like, life's good. Or you can take an UberMag, which is a couple different types of magnesium that act on different tissues. Essential fatty acids. Most people are highly inflamed, and omega-3 fatty acids are anti-inflammatory. Okay, there's a million different benefits for this. I'm not going to get into it, but I suggest taking a fish oil. When you look for a particular fish oil, I don't care necessarily what kind of fish oil you take. It needs to be paired with vitamin E or some other form of antioxidant. Anybody ever take a fish oil and they burp it up and it tastes like awful? More than likely, it did not have vitamin E because it can oxidize. So you need an antioxidant, a fat-soluble antioxidant, vitamin E, in it to keep that from happening. Now, if it's been on the shelf too long or it's just bad vitamin, or if it was just bad fish oil, you're going to still get those burps. But if you get a very quality fish oil that's not gone rancid like any of the pills, you won't have that happen. Okay? And the other essential, water. There's 1,000 equations for how much water you should drink. I drink 3 liters a day, right? Approximately, or more. Essential digestive support supplements, HCl. This is basically hydrochloric acid, stomach acid. Most of us have high stress lives and are exposed to all kinds of different stressful chemical toxins and whatnot that our HCl levels are depleted. So it's needed for digestion of protein, most minerals, B vitamins. Okay, this is one of the life-changing supplements that I've taken, and a lot of my clients who I've spoke to, they say it actually has changed their life. They can digest food, they feel better, and they start to absorb those minerals like zinc and magnesium, and they start to sleep better too. So it's really pretty awesome. Probiotics. Immune system is directly related with the amount of muscle that you can carry. Okay, so you want your immune system to be up, and probiotics are important for that. But not only is it important just for immune system function, it's also important for the absorption of your nutrients. Pre-workout, people ask me this all the time. I think vasodilation is important for workout, and there's some newer research to say the more of a pump you have, the more muscle you gain. So Arnold Schwarzenegger was not that far off back in the 70s. I'm not going to go into what he said about it, but you can figure it out. YouTube that one too. So arginine is kind of the classic vasodilator, and you can find formulas that have all of these in there. Glycocarn is a form of carnitine that helps with vasorelaxation or vasodilation. I believe this is the most effective one. And then citrulline malate is been shown to be a little bit better than arginine. If you get them all 3 together, you're doing pretty good. What's up, man?
What do you think about buying all them products separately and making your own drink with it?
You can do that. Cost-effective wise, I don't know. There's a couple of websites that you can go to that are like bulk powders and stuff like that, where you can get those. I'm always leery of those sites to make sure that they're high quality and GMP. Looks into it, make sure it's a high quality. Or you can try to find some other stuff.
Pretty sure Smart Powders.
Smart Powders.
Smart Powders or True Nutrition.
Okay, so there you go. Smart Powders, True Nutrition. If you're interested in making your own,
You can design your own proteins. You can do all that stuff too.
Yeah.
So.
Do you have a certain brand that you recommend when it comes to arginine, citrulline?
I do not. And glycocarn is a patented ingredient, so I just suggest you find the cheapest one you can find because it's all the same. It's all the same product from the same source.
Gotcha.
I believe that MCT oil, medium chain triglyceride oil, particularly if you're on a lower carb type of diet, will power you through your workout. It doesn't release insulin, so you're not going to have the insulin spike, which can calm and start to store nutrients. But it works into your brain, so you can focus and have a little bit more attention. I've noticed, and most people I talk to that do take it, they'll have about a 30-minute kick when they get into the workout. They feel great for 30 minutes, and then they might die. Okay, and we'll talk about how carbohydrates can help you with that. Caffeine, if well tolerated, and your adrenals function properly. Okay, so adrenal function is very important. And we kind of covered that a little bit earlier with the metabolic efficiency type of stuff. But if your adrenals aren't functioning well, you don't feel good, your sleep's going to be interrupted, your bowel movements are going to be terrible. So not everybody can do caffeine. Now this is the most well-researched ergogenic aid in the world to be proven to be effective. Anybody ever take caffeine and go, I don't feel anything? No, everybody takes caffeine and it works, right? But do they feel jitters? And do they stay up all night? Or do they feel more mentally focused and driven and they have no problem falling asleep? That's the difference, okay? If you can fall asleep and it doesn't affect anything, you don't feel jittery, caffeine away. I think it's great. Otherwise, do not have it. Alpha GPC, that helps increase neural drive, basically, in your brain. So for people who are caffeine intolerant, acetylcarnitine and alpha GPC will do a pretty good job of giving you mental focus. You won't feel like you're going to run through a wall, but you're going to feel a lot more mental drive. So intra-workout supplements, we're going to get to it now. So I believe branched-chain amino acids are essential, right? So branched-chain amino acids, they're kind of neat. They can increase growth hormone and insulin at the same time. So they're both fat-burning and cause protein synthesis, right? And if you look at protein research, leucine, which is one of the branched-chain amino acids, is actually there's like a limit or a tipping point. So if you have enough leucine, you'll have protein synthesis. If you don't, no matter how much other grams of protein you have, you will not start to have that protein synthesis. I suggest powdered branched chains. I take pills, but it's like I have to take 30 of them. So I got a handful. I'm just throwing pills down. Or you can get a tablespoon plus a teaspoon, and that's 20 grams of unflavored branched-chain amino acids to get you that minimum leucine thing. I suggest finding branched-chain powder that has amino pure in it. That means it's actually branched-chain amino acids. It's reputable. I would throw this in this stuff called dynamic greens. Dynamic greens are basically just a mixture of fruit and vegetable extract, and it will be an antioxidant, which is great while you're working out. And it can also alkalize your bloodstream, so you can do a couple extra reps so you don't get that too much of a lactic acid burn. And it tastes good, so the unflavored branched chains aren't quite so nasty. Optionally, you can put in 10 grams of glutamine. That can help protect you as well from muscle breakdown. And glutamine can actually work as a carbohydrate in your brain and increases growth hormone level as well. So notice we're trying to increase growth hormone and recovery and protein synthesis as we're working out. And then carbohydrate powders. I would take as little of this as possible or as much as needed, if that makes sense to you guys. So take it a little bit later in the workout. If you just have like a 30, 40-minute workout, you probably don't need to supplement with any kind of carbohydrate. But if your workout's going to last 40 to 60 minutes or maybe a little bit longer than that, I suggest taking some sort of carbohydrate. The issue with carbohydrates that I run into is that it spikes insulin a lot whilst I'm hungry. But there's a newer type of carbohydrate called Generation UCAN that actually does not have an insulin release. So it'll bring your blood sugar up, but it won't bring it up so much that you release insulin. So that way, when you start running into kind of that dead zone when you're training, I always hit my dead zone at 30 minutes, so I should start sipping on some carbohydrates about 25 minutes into my workout. You just kind of figure out what works best for you. Answered your question?
Yeah, I was going to say, personal experience, what I found best works is if you have your branch chain in that mix the first 20, 25 minutes in, and then start sipping on for me personally, I do better on carbo powders, my workouts, so I'll start sipping on that towards the end, and as I'm finishing my workout, I'm finishing that as well. So, cool.
Post-workout supplements, creatine, critical. It's the other second most research ergogenic gain to be proven effective. Creatine monohydrate, don't go all crazy and get ethyl ester and all the other types of creatine. Just go straight up creatine monohydrate, micronize it if you can, and you'll be fine. 5 grams a day minimum. Males might want to take 10 grams a day. Loading phase, if you want to see the benefits of creatine quicker, do the loading phase, 5 grams, 5 times a day type of thing for 5 days, and then back off the 5 to 10 grams daily. Whey protein or vegan-based protein. Some people don't handle whey very well, so vegan-based proteins, we carry a vegan protein here at Lifetime, or you can get this stuff called Vegan Sports Performance online, or like the Vitamin Shop or something like that. And females, you want to be closer to that 30 grams of protein. You don't need tons of protein. Males, you can bump up to 40 to 60 grams of protein as you're getting done working out. Carbohydrate powders. This is kind of when you may want to increase that insulin spike, because that's going to halt protein breakdown. So dextrose, maltodextrin, kind of sugar starches, waxy maize, and Vitargo are all very good protein powders, carbohydrate powders that you can use.
How much of the carb would you want after, like how many grams? Because I know the Vitargo, I was just doing that, and I know like 2 scoops is like 70,
Yeah.
I think, so I halved it. So I didn't have like all that extra, but.
Carbohydrates are not essential for post-workout. They're not, because as long as you get your leucine level and you have enough protein, your protein synthesis is going to be just fine with or without it. These are going to basically resynthesize your glycogen stores a little bit more, so you'll kind of carry that pump a little bit longer. I suggest if you're in contest mode, as you get closer, you might not be able to handle that many carbohydrates, so none. If you're trying to put on lean mass, I suggest having as much as 1 gram per pound of body weight. So that can be 200 pounds if you're male, so 200 grams of carbohydrates after you're done working out. There is I can't remember what it was, there was a study, I think 40 grams of carbs increased protein synthesis a little bit. More than that didn't, and less than that kind of just a little bit didn't do it as much. So I'd say if it's just kind of a standard, you want to get a little bit more of recovery based, I'd go 40 grams or so. I believe liver function is very important. We're eating a lot of meat, we're eating a lot of things that can be taxing on your kidneys and livers and whatnot. Lemon lime water in the morning is it's easy to do. And not that anybody wants to talk about it, but it'll produce a bowel movement just as well as coffee might. N-acetylcysteine is great for liver function. I've noticed that prepping your liver before contest really helps you not hit plateaus when you're losing body fat. So N-acetylcysteine, you can take 600 to 1800 milligrams. 1 capsule is usually 600, so you take that 1 to 3 times daily. Or you can do a specialized detox protocol. So if you're doing the biosignature, you're not losing fat, and you feel horrible all the time, if your knee, calf, and hamstrings are elevated, you may need to do a specific type of detox. Okay. Adrenal support. Right? This is also critical. We talked a little bit about that with the caffeine thing. If you have low DHA and or fatigued adrenals, another life-changing thing for me personally is called the chemotherapy. It'll increase your DHA, your memory levels are going to come up, your sex hormones are going to come up based on that too, and you're going to sleep like a rock and wake up feeling energized. At least that's what works well for me. If you have low cortisol, if you just feel like crap all the time, that could indicate that your adrenals are completely fatigued. And so like a licorice root extract or other types of herbs for that are going to help bring that back up. If you have low DHA, elevated cortisol, and night cravings, this stuff called Relora is going to help with that. It's going to bring up DHEA, bring down cortisol, which is going to help eliminate those nighttime cravings. And then this stuff called, I don't know if I spelled it right, Eswalga is just an adaptogen. It's going to help. If you have too much cortisol, it'll bring it down. If it's too little, it'll bring it up. Okay? Now, I don't suggest taking licorice or Relora unless you have literally had your adrenals tested. So there's a saliva test that you do 4 times a day. It's called a stress and resilience test. That will tell you exactly if you need it or if you don't need it. You don't want to start messing around with your adrenal function. Let's say you just have nighttime cravings because you're emotional, and you start taking Relora and your cortisol levels were low already. It's going to lower them even more, and then you run a risk of having some other serious issues. Other things that can keep you from seeing results is too much estrogen. We live in a sea of estrogen, guys. Everything we rub on our skin, we breathe, all of it contains chemicals which are called xenoestrogens, or basically environmental estrogens. So if you have a hamstring measure in the biosignature that just won't move, DIM or the stuff called sulforaphane could help. Okay, and then calcium D-glucarate is important to pair up with one of those 2 things. If your quad measurement just won't drop, this stuff called primal zinc PX is just a type of zinc that's going to help with that. The last bit of fat on the legs, polyester detox. It's an estrogen detox that helps with everything. And then severe estrogenic issues, you might get specialized, and at that point, that's where you want to start to get some lab work done with it. Metabolic support nutrients, L-carnitine, L-tartrate. This is pretty cool stuff. Carnitine basically shuttles nutrients into the mitochondria of the cell so you can burn it off as energy. So this got a lot of press, I think kind of the mid-2000s, 2005. Everybody started taking it, but they didn't see any results. Well, come to find out that carnitine needs a transport. So all the things that it said it could do back then, it can do if you take it with a lot of carbohydrates that would release insulin, or if you take a lot of fish oil, it needs an insulin transporter or omega-3 fatty acid transporter. Okay? It also increases androgen receptors, which will receive your testosterone hormones and stuff like that, so you can grow more muscle and recover faster. If you're starting to see some thyroid issues, the body temperature starts to decrease, and if your mid-axilla skin fold just won't budge, that could be a sign that your thyroid is having issues. This stuff called core burn. It's a great mixture of all the ingredients that I think are important for keeping your thyroid up and running. Vascular health support, glycocarn. Research says 4.5 grams of this daily. That's going to help with that. It's going to increase vascular health, promotes pumps, and improves your libido, and improves blood flow to your sex organs. I think it's important to know that bodybuilding and bikini and figure and all those types of sports, they are, it's not really a sport as much as it is an art, in my opinion. And I think it's important that we kind of follow these quotes here, right? So you're able to be your own artist. You're able to kind of create your own David sculpture or whatever it is within your body. And I think we can take some, pride in that. It's a really neat thing. So artists, they tell a story with their work. So what story are you telling with your body? Are you telling a story of, I love myself, I think I'm amazing? Or are you telling a story of, I don't really like myself that much, I don't think I'm that great? And it reflects, guys. We become physical manifestations of our mental thoughts. So what story are you trying to tell through your sport, or through your art, through your own body? So kind of wrapping things up here, know your purpose. Know why you're here. Be aware of that purpose. Be mindful of all things that are inside and outside of yourself to the best of your ability. Know what is permanent and what is transient. Okay? Think about your body. Are you permanent or transient? Think about everything in your life, your car, your house, your significant other. Nothing is permanent. We all age and die and become decrepit and all this stuff. I know it's not very fun to think about, but think about what is real and what is transient, okay? Keep your health sacred. More important than looking good is feeling good, feeling healthy, right? There's too many people that rely on contest prep and contests to make them feel good about themselves. And what they discover is that they don't feel better no matter how good they look. And appreciate what you are, where you are right now, no matter what, at all times. Okay, appreciate that. Because if you appreciate yourself, how are you going to treat yourself? If you don't appreciate yourself, how are you going to treat yourself? So keep in mind, contest shape is not permanent. This is like getting people into contest shape, super easy. Getting people to not like fall off the deep end when they're done with contests is one of the hardest things that I've ever dealt with. It's very, very difficult and emotionally draining, okay? So contest shape is not permanent. It's not something real. So let the notion that it is go. It cannot stay. You cannot be that lean, okay? Body fat is essential. It is a necessary element for living a healthy life, okay? I already said that. You become decrepit and you die and blah, blah, blah. It's exciting. But what is the cause of suffering? And this is true for all things in your life. The true cause of suffering and unhappiness is clinging to things that are unpermanent. You try to hold on to things that just can't be held on to. So I'm going to leave you guys with the 4 noble truths. Okay? The first noble truth is that ordinary life brings about suffering, displeasure. Okay? Number 2, the origin of suffering is attachment or clinging. Number 3, the cessation of suffering is attainable. So you can let it go. You can be happy at all times. Okay? So there is an 8-fold path to the cessation of suffering, and it's through wisdom, morality, and meditation. Right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So if you can do all of those things with attention and focus, then contest prep is easy. And then your life becomes easier, right? One of the hardest things anybody can do is to get in shape for a contest, okay? I don't want you just to look good. I want you to feel good and learn about yourself as you go through the process and the journey. And after you're done, you're a better person, okay? Do you guys have any questions? No questions? That was easy? If you don't have any questions, get out of here. No, wait. Hold on a second. Sorry. We have an offer. Who wants to get 1 free month of macronutrients and training? Bodybuilding. Anybody? Okay. Not going to get it for free. It's free, but you have to do some things, all right? So, what I want you guys to do, I have a quiz for you. I should just take it and pass it on. So you're going to have to accurately fill out the contest prep conference discovery log is what I call it. Basically, it's a test. I hate the word test and quiz because it gives me anxiety for whatever reason, but this seems nicer, okay? So there's a bunch of questions that you should have learned through this, okay? Fill it out. Bring it back to me or take a picture of it with your cell phone or whatever it is, and send it in. So that's the first thing. The second thing is join Team Dossey Facebook page. So as soon as we leave here, I'm going to design a Facebook page that you are all going to join. So join it, and then you're going to get a lot of information and support through that.
Are you going to remove your other one?
Huh?
Are you going to remove your other one?
Yeah, I'm going to keep it, but this one's going to be like open to everybody. Share this YouTube video on whatever social media port that you have. Now, if you don't have Facebook, then obviously you can't join the group, all right? So you're exempt from that. If you do have Facebook, you have to join the group. And then share this YouTube video on social media, Twitter, Instagram, do that? I have no idea, I'm not on it. Or Facebook or whatever, okay? And then on social media, write 5 things that you learned/enjoyed about this discussion. And then I'm going to have everybody write down, if you're interested in this, you have to write down your email so that I can contact you. Okay, and we can send you your program and all that kind of stuff. All right, so if you're able to do that, you'll get 1 free month of coaching. Okay? Seriously, nobody has any questions? Everything you need to know